Hello, Deborah Stile here. When everyone works together, it's amazing what can be accomplished. With a good blend of friends and deeds, and plenty of good luck wishes. Book 11, The Big Red Doghouse. The Big Red Doghouse. Jess didn't come to school all week. She didn't want to show her face. She was totally embarrassed and felt like a disgrace. We had an assembly on bullying. The principal said it had to end. Treat others how you would want to be treated is the message we should send. After school, we headed over to visit Jess for a while. We wanted to cheer her up and hoped to make her smile. We took a shortcut through the lot where her new house was built. Behind a bush near the front door, a can of red paint had been spilt. Wes pulled up a picture on his phone from a schoolmate's Instagram. In the bottom corner of the photo was a red paint can. I looked at Wes and Wes looked at me. We made a U-turn and ran back to school fast as can be. We just caught the principal as she was locking up for the day. As we caught our breath, she knew we had something urgent to say. "Are there any kids on campus?" asked Wes as he held out his phone. Principal Wellen looked at the photo and let out a groan. We didn't answer right away when she asked for their names. If they got in trouble because of us, we would be to blame. Principal Wellen assured us that no one would find out. "Doing the correct thing," she said, "is sometimes hard, no doubt." She thanked us and said we made the best choice. Don't give in to temptation, but follow the right voice. As we headed for home, our spirits felt much lighter. It was 6:30 and getting dark, but to us the world seemed brighter. Then we heard a familiar bark and Jess calling, "Wait up, guys!" We all ran to meet and exchanged high fives. Next day in school, the 3 boys were quiet and looked nervous. Then we heard their punishment was 2 months community service. At Benson's Ranch each day they had to clean the horses' stables. At school during lunch they were assigned cleaning tables. Good thing was Jess came back to school and held her head high. In the hall she was friendly to the 3 of them as they passed by. One of the boys, Kevin, didn't come to school the next week. When he showed up at the ranch for work, he was tired and weak. He said he wasn't feeling good and had a stomach ache. Mr. Ray noticed he had been crying as he handed him a rake. It was later than usual when they finished for the day. "If you don't mind, I'll walk you boys home," said Mr. Ray. Kevin's house was the last stop, and he broke out in tears. "My parents are getting divorced after being married 20 years. My mom and I are moving to a small apartment in town. I can't take my dog Fred along," he said with a frown. Mr. Ray reached in his pocket saying, "This helped me through hard times." It was a small tin container that held 10 thin dimes. Kevin looked puzzled, asking, "What does this mean?" Mr. Ray answered, "I was given this when I was in between." "In between?" Kevin wondered. "What does this have to do with me?" Mr. Ray said, "Kindness has a way of growing. Just wait and see." It's a symbol of how little things can grow into something grand. Just keep it in your pocket and someday you'll understand. Now it's getting late. You'd better go in for the night. Give your mom and Fred a hug and tell them it will be all right. Kevin shook Mr. Ray's hand and thanked him for the good advice. "After the mean thing I did to your family, why are you being so nice?" Mr. Ray said, "We are all in this world together and can help each other out. Being good to those around us is what life is all about." That weekend, the moving truck was parked on Kevin's street. Parked behind it was a hay wagon with lots of empty seats. Kevin and Fred watched the movers with sad looks in their eyes. "Hop on board," yelled Mr. Ray. "I've got a big surprise." He drove to Hank's Hardware. Kaylin, Wes, and Jess were waiting on the walk. When Kevin saw cans of red paint, he wasn't able to talk. Wes said, "Don't worry, Kevin. This is for something great." "Let's get going, Dad," yelled Jess. "We can hardly wait." Kevin got his voice back and asked, "Hardly wait for what?" Then Mr. Ray drove the wagon through a field to take a shortcut. Kaylin said, "Today we're going to repaint the old barn red. It's going to be a giant doghouse for good old Fred." Kevin exclaimed, "You mean I don't have to give Fred away to the pound? You guys are the best friends anywhere around." Jess spoke. "My dad always says we're in this world together, friends in rain or shine, no matter what kind of weather." The day went by fast with 4 friends working hard. Around 2 o'clock they took a break and sat down in the yard. A ray of sunshine gleamed across the newly painted barn. Rennie and Fred came running through some mud out on the farm. They jumped up to try to catch the ray, leaving mud prints on the barn door. Kaylin stood up saying, "I've got a brilliant revelation once more." "You know our school is having a carnival in just a few weeks. Hurry, follow me to the pound. I'll be the one who speaks." Wes, Jess, Kevin, Rennie, and Fred could hardly keep up the pace. You would have thought Kaylin was running in a race. They burst into the dog pound, all out of breath. Kaylin asked for the director. His name was Jeff. She explained about the carnival. They could have a booth, pennies for paws. The money raised would go to the pound. It's such a worthy cause. They would build a giant doghouse, hanging cans on the roof all around. Then if someone threw a penny in a can, they won an animal from the pound. Jeff thought it was a great idea, offering help in any way. They hurried out to get things started. They had only 14 days. To be continued. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed today's book, and please subscribe and watch tomorrow for Book 12.